got your book right here.
COVID-19 nearly broke them, but innovation and loyal customers have given Elliott Bay Books new life.
We love this store.
For decades, it was a trendsetter, chic and daring. But now, Baby & Company is fading into Seattle's past.
It was really a concept store, providing merchandise nobody had ever seen before.
You're my beloved community, period.
They've given much to their community, and now the community is showing its gratitude.
It was amazing.
These stories and more next on CityStream. I'm Linda Byron. Welcome to a special business edition of CityStream from El Centro de la Raza. For nearly 50 years, El Centro has been a hub for the Latino community, but it advocates for all races. COVID-19 has disproportionately affected Black and brown people, either through illness or unemployment. As the pandemic surges, the services and training provided here at El Centro are needed now more than ever. Across town, one of Seattle's beloved bookstores has been forced to adapt and innovate just to stay afloat, and it hasn't been easy. But their dedicated staff refuses to quit. And of course, it helps that Elliott Bay Books has a loyal following from 4 decades as Seattle's premier independent bookseller. Producer Layla Cosme takes a look.
I've been at Elliott Bay Book Company for 30 years. I love being able to put a good book in someone's hands. Before the pandemic, we were doing internet orders in a limited capacity. We made the decision to close our doors, and then I think on the 23rd of March, the governor's mandate came down. We said goodbye to our staff and furloughed the majority of them. The book industry, we're not innovative. We've been selling printed books for hundreds of years, trying to figure out how to do business in a radically different way than we had been doing it for 47 years was a challenge. And so we closed the doors and we started doing curbside pickup and internet orders. The Little Oddfellows Cafe is temporarily closed, so we have moved our mail processing into the cafe because we needed a little room to spread out. We've got so much mail going out. And the orders just began to pour in and really sustained us. The notes on those orders, thanking us for being here. We knew that the customers were trying to support us. The reading series that we have done, we've cultivated that for over 40 years here. And the publishers didn't used to send authors out to the Northwest way back when we started our reading series. It is really at the heart of what we do. Creating a free space for people to come and hear an author or hear a poet. We miss that, and I think it'll be a while before we get back to doing readings in the store. So we converted the reading room to our staff break room so that everyone has a little bit of room. In May, we started to think about what it would be like when we opened the doors, and so we started recalling staff in early June, and then the protests came. After the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, there was just an awareness that hit the country.
Lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. George Floyd. George Floyd.
History happening right on our doorstep every day. We reopened about the middle of August.
So we're just asking everyone to sanitize their hands or wear gloves.
Try to keep the visits about 30 minutes or less.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank
Thanks for waiting.
We had to rearrange our front desk and put up the plexiglass and reconfigure our checkout system. We have learned a lot. We've been doing some online events, so that's an option now that maybe we can do with authors in other parts of the world who aren't able to travel. We will definitely beef up our online sales going forward in a way that we haven't before. The idea of doing curbside pickup, that'll always be something I think we keep available.
Cool, I've got your book right here. Are you outside in a car or?
Yeah, I'm in the white car right now.
Cool, I'll run it right out. There you are. Thanks, bud.
We now have brought back or recalled, I think, over 2/3 of our staff.
If you can hang out in just a couple minutes. Okay.
We've learned how to do things differently. We've been innovative. We love this store. It's been here almost 50 years. It has weathered recessions. It has weathered ebooks. It's weathered the rise of Amazon. And, none of us knows what the future holds at this point in time. Time will tell. But we're going to keep working as hard as we can to make it work.
Shortly after this story was completed, Elliott Bay Book Company reopened to the public. If you'd like to browse their collection, make an in-store appointment. And you can do that by going to their website, elliottbaybook.com. And as one longtime business perseveres, we bid goodbye to a boutique with a colorful past. Looking back on Baby & Company as CityStream continues. Love to love you, baby. Seattle is saying goodbye to an iconic boutique that's been much more than a clothing store. Baby & Company helped transform a rundown part of the city and helped put Seattle on the map as a cool, innovative place to live and work. But after 44 years, its owners are calling it quits. The future looked bright a few years ago when the sassy Seattle clothing store known as Baby & Company celebrated its 40th birthday with a tribute to the 70s.
You didn't have to live through disco to understand how important disco and that whole cultural trend and the fashion that disco brought, because you had to wear your best. I mean, going out to the clubs, man, was everything.
In 1976, invention was in the air. Microsoft was a year old, Starbucks just 3. The Kingdom hosted its first sporting event. And Babette, affectionately known as Baby, and her husband, Ori Burstein, opened their chic boutique named for her.
That was Baby in 1976. I know it's kind of faded out, but
How old was she?
She was 25 when they opened the store.
Wow.
I know.
They were drawn to a grand building on 1st and Virginia, a seedy area pocked with pawn shops and strip clubs.
Huge risk. Creating something that the city hadn't seen before was one thing. It was really a concept store. Putting in merchandise nobody had ever seen before. In an area that no customers, there had no foot traffic.
They set out to grab Seattle's attention, fusing architecture, art, and fashion, bringing in clothes you could only find in cities like New York, Paris, London, and Milan.
So she would create these outrageously amazing windows. Everybody remembers there was fans. She always put things that would move. And she did that because it would catch your eye. And they gambled that the people on the bus going by would say, "What is that place?"
Jill was only 18 when she fell in love with the boutique's nonconformity.
This kind of bougie store that opened in a gritty, rundown neighborhood was such a breaking of norms. So Baby & Company's always have been about breaking norms.
Other risk takers followed: a design and architecture bookstore, an artsy French cafe, Sub Pop Records.
You had some of the most interesting, dynamic, creative entities, both eating next door at the Raison d'Etre and shopping here. It was really a great indie alternative neighborhood that really felt like kind of a hub for cool and creative.
It's not surprising that in 1987, Jill would leave her job at Nordstrom to work at her beloved store.
Ooh, love to love you, baby. White and black, and these are kind of a more fitted t-shirt.
And when Baby and Ori retired in 2009 at the height of the recession, Jill and her husband Wayne bought the boutique, infusing it with their own personality and humor.
We are playful with Dream Baby Dream, love to love you, baby. Or we'd have back then, a $1,000 coat sitting next to a repurposed army coat that was $25. So everybody could find something here, and we still have that. I mean, you can come in and get vintage jeans from the 1970s for $25, but you can also find a spectacular, incredible one-of-a-kind piece.
Customers came for the clothes.
Love it. I love that brand. Darling,
Come on up.
step up to the base. This gal, I'm just gonna say, she doesn't want to be, she's never walked out of here empty-handed, ever. You'll wear that.
And the community.
I think you'll wear that.
I know, I'm like, Michelle, when are we wearing dresses again?
You just have to the grocery store. Right? I say you take it to the grocery store.
See, this is why we like Bill. He's like, just wake up and throw it on.
Yeah. What do you got?
Customers came to play.
We had some major installations that involved some acrobatics in the very highest parts of the ceiling that took us well into the night, and had this wonderful reveal the next day when the store became a dance theater or a discotheque or a circus.
Life was good. But Seattle was changing fast. The tech boom led by Amazon was transforming the city.
It just started with, with growth, there are many challenges. So first, the construction was creating all of these road closures and, traffic obstructions. People couldn't access the city. There was no parking.
The dynamics of downtown were changing too. More street activity, homelessness, concerns about crime. And then the coronavirus arrived.
Just when you think things couldn't get worse, they did.
Social unrest left businesses battered and bruised.
We were working so hard to keep it alive. We were treading water. And finally the pandemic was like, stop treading, just float. And Wayne and I got this opportunity to kind of rethink and float and say, okay, it's time. This was the universe saying, okay, baby, it's time to rethink this.
And so these longtime Seattleites are leaving to start over in Sun Valley, Idaho. Jill hopes the quirky little upstart that beat the odds at first in Virginia will inspire Seattle to remember its biggest claim to fame was once its nonconformity.
You can take the girl out of Baby and Company, but you can never take the baby out of the girl. I mean that to everybody that shops at Baby and Company. Forever baby, forever baby.
Ever the optimist, Jill believes the spirit they celebrated when Baby and Company turned 40 won't be extinguished forever. Baby and Company lasted through 7 presidents, 5 economic recessions, the Rodney King and WTO riots, and a major earthquake. But the retail warrior finally closed its doors at the end of September. But they do plan to hold periodic pop-ups in Seattle, so stay tuned. Welcome back to CityStream from El Centro de la Raza. This man, Roberto Maestas, founded El Centro back in the early 1970s. Throughout his life, he sought to build what Martin Luther King Jr. described as a beloved community, where poverty and racism are eradicated when people of all races come together. To honor Roberto Maestas, the annual Legacy Awards recognize people who work to build the beloved community. We introduce you now to one of this year's recipients, Luis and Leona Rodriguez. As Enrique Serna explains, their business not only serves customers, but the entire community.
Here at the station on Beacon Hill, you'll find great coffee and good food. But what makes the station unique are the owners, Leona and Luis Rodriguez, and their commitment to their beloved community.
Anyone who looks out for my family, my children, my employees, him and I, you're my beloved community, period. You know, and we're going to do the same for you in the best way that we can.
Their commitment to a beloved community is closely tied to the legacy of Roberto Maestas.
Especially because I met Roberto Maestas when I was 17 years old. I'm almost 43 right now, so that's some years ago, right?
A decade ago, Roberto promised Luis there would be a place for the station at Plaza Roberto Maestas.
Here we are, 10 years later, so it was beautiful.
Leona and Luis made the station a community hub where people could meet, organize, have poetry readings, art shows, community events, and enjoy friends in the neighborhood.
People of all races, people of all places of background and everything. It was beautiful.
But then the COVID-19 pandemic hit. After sheltering in place, Leona and Luis were able to open again, but only with takeout service. Still, they were determined to be there for their community.
Without community, without family, without neighbors, without friends, I don't know what we are then, so we need each other.
With the pandemic closing Seattle schools, Cleveland High needed a place for its food pantry that serves students and families in need. Leona and Luis stepped up and brought the pantry to the station.
We knew that people were going to be hungry and needing food, so that was the best idea ever. So it was amazing.
People from the community were bringing food every day to donate.
It's beautiful.
Every time it would get empty, there'd be more food the next day. It was amazing to see.
I believe that our neighborhood and our people have been closer than ever because of this pandemic, because of the things that is happening around the world right now, because of this the politics that is happening to our people. It's very essential for us to be together. So to get this recognition from El Centro de la Raza means a lot, because then it's letting the city of Seattle know that, no, these guys are good people. They are here to take care of our community. So I'm very thankful and grateful and honored to be part of this award.
Very humbled.
Congratulations to Luis and Leona Rodriguez, one of the recipients of the 2020 Roberto Maestas Legacy Award.
Come on, man, let's G up.
Next on CityStream, it's one holiday tradition that has not gone virtual. We'll take a ride when we return.
We'll never forget. These words are spoken with great respect, never forget, and in remembrance of the firefighters who put their lives on the line for us and have paid the ultimate sacrifice. They are spoken to let their families, loved ones, and colleagues know our fallen will never be forgotten. Each October, we gather here at this memorial to pause, reflect, and remember. This year looks a bit different due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But even though we aren't all here in person, the meaningfulness and honor of this event is felt across the department and across the community. In March, we lost Lieutenant Jay Wheeler to a line of duty illness. Because of the pandemic, we were not able to give Lieutenant Wheeler a full honor service as he passed in March. So today is not only our traditional remembrance to all of our fallen, but we are also using this as an opportunity to provide Lieutenant Wheeler a more proper send-off.
Lieutenant Jay Wheeler. Lieutenant Jay Wheeler.
These deaths, of course, they leave a hole, and it's a hole that doesn't go away. The sacrifice they made for the citizens of Seattle wasn't theirs alone, but also the family, and we appreciate that. And I encourage you today, if you get a chance, just go ahead and give those names a look, because their sacrifice was no less than anyone else's name on that wall. And it's for all of them that we are here today. May they rest in peace.
The pandemic has forced all of us to take our foot off the gas and slow down. That's nothing new for the man who operates Seattle's last remaining carriage ride. As producer Ian DeVere shows us, Steve Beckman has been riding in the slow lane for decades, and it suits him just fine.
Ready to ride, folks. It's been an amazing thing. I came here from New Orleans in the late 70s, and by the time I made it up here, I had 50 bucks left. I set choke, worked in the mills out in Forks, and worked as a shake rat, planted trees, and made some money. And at the same time, I was going down to New Orleans every winter right before Mardi Gras, and they would always hire extra drivers for the Jazz and Heritage Festival. Would start to get hot in May, and I'd head back up to the Northwest. I bought the first wagon I think in late '76. I bought this old grain wagon. I didn't have enough money to buy a carriage, and I was training the horse to drive. You know, and I was pretty green then. I've never had any formal horse training. I just learned by osmosis or by watching other people do it, basically. Come here, Amos. So you use these rubber shoes that provide excellent traction and cushioning for working on the streets. And I didn't get much positive feedback from people. You know, people thought it was kind of a crazy idea. Oh, it rains all the time. There's no tourists, and everybody's poor here. So what are you going to do? You know? I said, well, I'd rather just do it cheaper and allow for everybody to go for private rides. There's two words you use on horses, G and haw. G is right, haw is left. Come on. Come on, Amos. G up. Oh. Oh. There goes the monorail. That was built for the World's Fair. The transportation of the future, they built it.
He took me for the first time as a newlywed couple last year.
Yeah, so this is our second opportunity with Steve and Amos.
Come on, Amos. G up. We used to do a lot of proposals, over 2,000 proposals. And that was I think about 10 years ago. I stopped, documenting it. But the record was 5 proposals in one day. Of course, every one of them said yes. So on my business card, it says, propose in my carriage, they never say no. It's cool. People come down here over the 46 years of the business. People will come back down here and say, oh, I proposed in your carriage. It was like 25 years ago. I have kids now. Oh yeah, definitely the slow lane. I like to create slow food and slow events. What are you honking at, fool? Everybody's in such a rush now all the time. They're always rushing everywhere. And I never really wanted to live like that, so I guess that's why I decided to, be an organic farmer and drive a horse carriage, because I could have been doing the same thing 100 years ago or 200 years ago. Well, I have a farm out in near Issaquah, and I'm splitting up with my partner, and I either am going to buy her out or I'm going to sell the place, one of the two. So it's all up in the air as far as whether or not I'm going to be able to keep my farm. Everything runs off the farm, the food and the horses stay there. It's difficult to make money as a small farmer. That's why being a small farmer is kind of like being a musician. You got to have a day job usually. Yeah, we used to have, at the peak of it, we had about 15 carriages running out here. And for 35 years, I ran four carriages. I think there was 5 or 6 companies at one point. There would be a line all the time. I mean, it was incredible. You'd come out here 24 hours a day, practically, and there'd be people waiting for you. I just wanted to thank all the people who come down and taking carriage rides over the years, and the weddings to the funerals, to the christenings, to the quinceaneras, and the bat mitzvahs, and just everything you can possibly imagine. I think we've done with the carriages. I'll drive horses somewhere sometime. I've been doing it for over 50 years. It's kind of in my blood now, so I don't intend on stopping it. When I first came to Seattle, I thought, man, this is heaven. It's hard to believe how much has changed, really. It's a totally different place than what it used to be. A lot of people they come down and they go, so where are the carriages? I said, right here. This is it. I'm the one and only at this point.
Over 40 years, Steve Beckman has given thousands of carriage rides. He's not sure how much longer he'll keep it up, but for now, he and Amos continue to offer rides every weekend. And that wraps up this episode of CityStream from El Centro de la Raza. If you'd like to learn more about this organization, just go to their website, elcentrodelaRaza.org. I'm Linda Byron. Thank you for watching.